Hey, thank you for stopping. Gil Pender.
Tom Eliot.
Tom Eliot? Tom Stearns Eliot? TS Eliot? TS Eliot? Prufrock's like my mantra. It's like, oh, okay, sorry. Listen, where I come from, people measure out their lives with Coke spoons.
There was a poet whose mind's complexity you can imagine through his words. His poetry requires highly intellectual, sensitive, and imaginative readers. His poem is like a star. If you see it clearly, it means you can see well and have no problems with your eyesight. If you do not see the star well, it means you have problems with your eyesight. If you find his poetry very difficult and ambiguous, it means you are not intellectual enough to understand it.
Dawn points, and another day prepares for heat and silence. Out at sea the dawn wind wrinkles and slides. I am here, or there, or elsewhere, in my beginning.
American by birth and British by choice, he penned some of the most influential poems of the 20th century. A central figure in modern English poetry, he perhaps mirrored better than anyone else the nostalgia, anguish, and frustration of a society caught between two world wars. This maestro of the written word, this sage of poetic expression, was the incomparable T.S. Eliot, whose legacy illuminates the annals of literature with a brilliance unmatched.
O spirit, condemned to suffer in these flames, what misdeeds in your mortal life have brought you to endure such a grievous fate? In this realm of despair, speak, that I may understand the justice that governs this deep inferno.
If I believed that my answer was for someone who would never return to the world, this flame would remain without more shocks. But since no one ever returned alive from this depth, if I hear the truth, I answer you without fear of disgrace.
Prufrock. Your words, though unspoken, echo a truth that many forget.
Let us go then, you and I, when the evening is spread out against the sky like a patient etherized upon a table. Let us go through certain half-deserted streets, the muttering retreats of restless nights in one-night cheap hotels and sawdust restaurants with oyster shells. Streets that follow like a tedious argument of insidious intent to lead you to an overwhelming question. Oh, do not ask what is it. Let us go and make our visit.
Prufrock is a deeply conflicted character as he prepares to attend a party. His excitement is overshadowed by his social anxiety and introversion, making him appear as if he's heading into a battlefield rather than a social event. He converses with himself, reflecting an internal struggle between his conscious and subconscious. This solitary dialogue is perhaps also an invitation to the reader to delve into his psyche. Prufrock's world is one of melancholy and stagnation, likened to an anesthetized patient, symbolizing his own inertia. He moves through silent, deserted streets and noisy, active places, showing a contrast between how he appears calm outside but feels troubled inside. His thoughts on love are affected by his inner struggles and basic instincts. Images of rundown hotels and untidy restaurants represent a fall in moral standards and short-lived joys, reflecting Prufrock's hidden desires and deep feelings of sadness and confusion.
In the room, the women come and go, talking of Michelangelo. The yellow fog that rubs its back upon the window panes, the yellow smoke that rubs its muzzle on the window panes, licked its tongue into the corners of the evening, lingered upon the pools that stand in drains, let fall upon its back the soot that falls from chimneys, slipped by the terrace, made a sudden leap, and seeing that it was a soft October night, curled once about the house and fell asleep. And indeed there will be time for the yellow smoke that slides along the street, rubbing its back upon the window panes. There will be time. There will be time to prepare a face to meet the faces that you meet. There will be time to murder and create, and time for all the works and days of hands that lift and drop a question on your plate. Time for you, and time for me, and time yet for 100 indecisions, and for 100 visions and revisions, before the taking of a toast and tea.
The yellow fog symbolizes Prufrock's confusion and inner turmoil, with its color reflecting sickness and decay. Prufrock's comparison of the fog to a cat, particularly its action of curling and settling, serves as a metaphor for his repressed desires and sexual undertones. Prufrock's internal monologue about time and preparing different faces for society reflects his indecisiveness and dual nature, highlighting the superficiality of his social world. This duality illustrates his struggle between internal conflict and external appearances set against the backdrop of a mundane, disenchanted aristocratic life. Eliot's portrayal of Prufrock captures the essence of a man torn between desire and despair in a modern world. Prufrock's insecurities starkly contrast with Michelangelo's emblematic confidence and creative brilliance. Underscoring Prufrock's sense of inadequacy, Prufrock's hesitation, driven by trivial anxieties, is a stark contrast to Hamlet's profound moral deliberation, highlighting Prufrock's paralyzing fear of social judgment and personal shortcomings. Prufrock contemplates his appearance, experiences, and the passage of time. The repeated question, "Do I dare?" reflects his hesitation, The imagery of mundane details like coffee spoons and the fear of judgment illustrate his internal struggle. Prufrock compares his suffering and unrequited love to biblical figures like John the Baptist and Lazarus. He imagines himself in a state of defeat and loss, akin to being beheaded like John the Baptist, reflecting his struggles with unreturned love and his own insecurities. He contemplates the differences between his experiences and those of biblical figures, recognizing the contrast between his desire for physical love and their spiritual pursuits. The poem also explores themes of psychological instability, as Prufrock experiences hallucinations and uses humor to mask his insecurities. Ultimately, Prufrock's silence and inability to articulate his feelings contrast sharply with Lazarus's ability to speak about his resurrection, highlighting Prufrock's metaphorical death of emotional expression and connection.
But though I have wept and fasted, wept and prayed, though I have seen my head grown slightly bald, brought in upon a platter, I am no prophet, and here's no great matter. I have seen the moment of my greatness flicker, and I have seen the eternal footman hold my coat and snicker, and in short, I was afraid. And would it have been worth it, after all, after the cups, the marmalade, the tea, among the porcelain, among some talk of you and me, would it have been worthwhile to have bitten off the matter with a smile, to have squeezed the universe into a ball, to roll it towards some overwhelming question, to say, I am Lazarus, come from the dead, come back to tell you all, I shall tell you all. If one, settling a pillow by her head, should say, that is not what I meant at all. That is not it at all.